All right, my friends, good looking out there. I want to say what's up. I want to give my love to the crypto family. Thank you for joining me here tonight. I want you to reach out, say hello here in the chat room, and let me know. Let me know if you can hear me, and let me know where you are in the world right now. I'd love to know what's going on and where you are. This is a worldwide thing. It's a worldwide phenomenon. I'm just happy to be part of that. Thank you for coming for the dance session. This is a quick market update here for Bitcoin. Let's just get right into it. I do see the chat rooms. Thank you for having my back, folks, here with the technicals. With I want to make sure you can hear me. Stuff in the past, I did a whole show that was mute, and I had to redo it. So let's get things going. Hello from Nigeria to Queen. Let's go Belgium. We got Portugal. We got Australia. We got Austria. Oh, we got San Diego in the house. We got Iraq. Wow. South Florida. What's what? Right? We got a great squad. That's what I like, Something like crypto brings everyone together. Let's get right to it. You can find me brand new to trading. You want to know, where can I get started? I wanna start to read the chart, right? But I don't really know where to start. That's like always that's the most important question, like where to start. Because if you wanna know what the right direction is. Because once you can identify the right direction, you can put some effort into it. You can apply yourself. And nobody wants to apply yourself in the wrong direction. Start out with the tutorials. These are master classes. They're going to save you so much time and trouble. I explain my full technical setup. I explain how to identify support and resistance, simple techniques as well. Definitely check that out and check out the other quick market updates like this one. And if you're interested in really learning how to trade, I am a founding analyst at Bitcoin.live. For more than 3 years, I've been doing a twice a week full market update, and I will not miss an update. I haven't missed one in years. Great team. You get access to everybody's stuff. I really definitely encourage you to check that out. So we got a little Bitcoin here. I'm just gonna read like a couple lines from the book. Let me just check in the chat room real quick first, though. First of all, I'll never see all the messages. So I'll go back and read them later. And the feedback's wonderful. So thank you for the feedback. If you read the comments, like, when after the video's up, be careful. They're scam bots. It's not me. I'm not on Telegram. I'm not on Discord, Twitter, and YouTube. So just kind of be careful out there, folks. All right. Ireland, Greece, good to see you. It's great. I love it. Kuwait, look at that. Netherlands, awesome. Hawaii. I love it. I love to hear it. India, great to see you. Iran, and just all around the world, Albania, Mexico, Switzerland. I mean, this is fantastic. How could look at me? I never would have thought like 10 years ago I'd be in this position where I can just talk to all these people and we have it all in common. So here's something we all have in common, right? We struggle with admitting like we messed up, right? We struggle with admitting the trade has failed and moving on. So lesson 19: sell and move on. Cutting failed trade positions not only frees up trading capital, it also frees up mental capital. Holding on to and watching your red positions is an emotional drain. So it's you're down in the trade and you don't want to sell, but you got to keep watching it and you want to be in a good mood, but every time you pop it up, there's the loss. It's staring at you, and it's just every time it's a negative. It's hanging on your back. And I got to tell you, so many times there's a really interesting feeling where you're in a trade and you kind of get married to it, and you kind of break a few rules. And, you're down, you add to it when you shouldn't. There's a moment where eventually you do give up, which is good because you have to cut, right? You got to cut a bad idea. When you sell that, there's this amazing feeling. It's like all of a sudden this burden has been lifted from you. You feel so light because you don't have to think about it all the time. It doesn't have to occupy you. And that's the thing. You can't let your trades occupy you. You can't let your trades own you, right? So you avoid that obviously by betting very small amounts. These are other lessons. We'll get into that. So, basically and then another one is like after you sell the trade, you still think about it all the time after you've sold it, right? And if with like a loss, you can't get over a loss. If you spend time obsessing over old losses, you have a high probability of generating new ones. So you got to be like, You have to be unafraid to try and fail and try and fail. And it's like, it's not personal, and it doesn't mean you're a bad person if you make like a bad trade. And that's the thing. It's like you get in this trap where, especially if you're on a bad streak, if you've lost 3 or 4 trades in a row, you kind of start feeling, you start like hating on yourself. And it's not about like you as a person. Like trading's really hard, and you're probably betting too much. You're probably not, using a good confirmation system or a good stop loss system. You're probably trading against the trend. You're probably making any number of mistakes. So that's just a little taste of that from the book. So let's talk about a couple scenarios, right? So I've talked about it before. Like for me, from in my view, the top was pretty easy to see coming, and I kind of laid it out ahead of time, my thesis. And the day of the top, the Litecoin pump, that was pretty much the top. But like, what's the bottom? I don't really know what the bottom is. So I'll be honest that I'm just like you right now. I don't really know. I found the top. I mean, I was a little bit early, but that was a lot easier to spot than the bottom. We don't have the data right now, and we really just have a moment where we're kind of hoping bulls catch a bid, right? You want to be looking at scenarios, right? That's the thing with technical analysis. And if especially absent a lot of information, and we had a lot of information up here. We got a very clear kind of a market story, the rise up in the ETF, and then the kind of the Ethereum bounce and the Litecoin bounce, and then we had the technicals, the double top with the up thrust, and then the outside bars. We had all these kind of data points. Here, it's just kind of a slow. Every time, it's just a relief rally, and we're still just doing another relief rally, right, until proven otherwise, and we're below 40K. But you also kind of want to be in the habit of scenarios and envisioning ways a chart might be turning around. It doesn't mean you act prematurely or early, but it means you're examining the chart and you're kind of ready. You're kind of ready for the momentum to take a move, to change direction. And then the question is, at what point is it really like a serious change in direction, right? It's a big pivot point, right? So that was a lot of talk. Here, bottom line is this. We don't really know if the bottom is in, but here's a possible path for bulls. And I talked about this. Let's do this first, actually. Mystery chart. Let's do this first. Mystery chart. Are you buying or selling? I tweeted this. And if you look at this, you're like, what am I doing with this? For me, I see this, and I see it's definitely a downtrend. And I think this little bouncing here to the upper Bollinger, it's probably going to reject and head back down. So I would say edge bears on this chart, right? I'll let you look at it for another second and kind of like, what would you want to do? Would you, no other information. Would you want to be long or short on this chart? I'd want to be short, right? I'd go with the trend. Well, guess what? It's an inverted Bitcoin weekly chart. And it's a way to kind of test your bias. It's an inverted weekly Bitcoin chart, right? It's an inverted weekly Bitcoin chart, right? There it is. So it's like, you got to remember, okay, that's why it's reasonable. There we go. That's why it's reasonable to be looking for a bull scenario here. And what would one be? I mean, just like I said earlier, though, it doesn't mean you act early, right? Here's a bull scenario. So possible path for bulls. So 40K. And I've always kind of been my commentary both everywhere, right? Bitcoin.live, Twitter, YouTube, 40K. We got to flip 40K. And I've been basically saying I've been expecting a relief rally to tag 40K and probably reject there. But if it doesn't reject there, right? So, how might it unfold potentially? So recapture 40K. So recapture. So rather than reject, right? Rather than reject, we're looking for a recapture. All right, recapture 40K. All right, okay, fine. What's next? Turn that. Turn that into the invalidation level for an inverted head and shoulders. What does that even mean, right? What does that even mean? What does that mean? Invalidation level. So, we've covered this in my prior like quote unquote quick market updates, like right here, where we had an attempted, inverted head and shoulders. And you could see a lot of the, plenty of the other folks on Twitter were looking for that. The quote, a lot of the other technicians, perhaps. The invalidation, the confirmation level, 60K, maybe a tiny bit lower. Invalidation level is, like with anything, we've talked about the concept that you have an invalidation level and you have a confirmation level. Invalidation is when the trade idea is invalidated. And the reason why that's important is because almost every signal that fails, like that becomes a signal in the other direction, right? That becomes a signal in the other direction. That's something of value. So we have the invalidation level, right? There's your invalidation level at that right shoulder. That's when you sold your longs on kind of like the failed bull rally. So what was I saying here? Okay, turn that into the invalidation level. So I'm trying to turn 40K into the invalidation level. What that basically means is turn that into the invalidation level. Okay, I'm doing all this good stuff. And then I'm here. What do we have? We have a shoulder, head, and shoulder, with the invalidation level being the breakdown, and the confirmation level being the neck base line, right? Head, and shoulders. So that's like that bull scenario. Turn that into the invalidation level, reject to the 44K area. That's right here. You're rejecting here because you're kind of forming the neck baseline. Reject the 44K area, form the neck baseline, like I just said, and then eventually break it. Okay. We're doing a lot. This is a lot of stuff here. This is a lot of, like, don't like hold me to this if it doesn't happen, right? This is theoretical. It's for learning. But you form the neck baseline, and then you eventually, let's clean it up a little bit. So you form your neck baseline, okay? And we have our invalidation level, and we'll kind of just indicate it like that so you get a generalized sense. Let's do it like that. And we got our invalidation level, yada, 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 like that, right? Eventually break, okay? And then retest it with a throwback. So a lot of my entries are on what's called a throwback or a bullish retest, okay? Come back and you throw back, retest that, and go. And that would be ultra strong. And it would be clean. It would be steady. Like the best moves are steady, that kind of consolidate along the way, that don't kind of, go up and then slowly bleed, right? So that would be a nice way for bulls. That's a path for bulls. I mean, am I betting on that path? I don't know. I really don't know, actually. I need to see 40K flipped to become optimistic, right? But I'm kind of, I often say whatever you play, it's something you should be watching. And whatever you're watching, you want to kind of diagnose the chart. You want to break it down. You want to identify those pivot levels. You want to be ready for, different possibilities. So that's one possibility. Possible path for bears. I'm going to check in the chat room. Thanks for the feedback, Chedger the man. I'm enjoying this. By the way, thank you, folks. Everybody who's watching here, I appreciate it. So thank you. I'm just, hey, why wouldn't I be honest? I'm going to tell you what I think. If I'm wrong, it's a chance to learn. That's always kind of been my thing. You come from Colombia. What's up, Jules? ¿Cómo estás, Jules? Bienvenido. Let's see. All right. So what do we got here? Possible path for bears. Relief rally to 40K and reject there. So what's interesting, if you pick this up, is even under my bearish scenario, I'm still expecting Bitcoin to get to 40K here, or 39.5, but pretty much right to 40K, because that's the breakdown level, and it's a logical target for the relief rally. I've been talking about that in all my commentary everywhere, expecting this kind of lower Bollinger to moving average resistance type of, relief rally or counter trend move. Logical target, 40K and confluence with the SMA or simple moving average 20, right? So we've the price has shown a propensity to be rejected at that level. Therefore, we want to identify it and use that as a kind of to add some weighting to the idea that this is an important level, right? And there you go. So that's the bear thesis. So what's interesting is that even in, and I think we're fine with the mystery chart for now, but even in this scenario, I'm expecting the relief rally still to hit 40K. Still the bear scenario. Bounce to 40K and reject in the bear scenario, right? Rather than recapture the level, bull scenario, we're going to recapture, here we're going to reject. Okay. We're going to reject at 40K. And sorry about that. Now I've done the bull. Let's clean it up. Now here's just the bear one. Reject at 40K. Okay. Relief rally to 40K. Reject there in the pullback, which this would be a bearish retest from classical charting, where you have a support level that's broken. And then you have the bearish retest that is called a pullback. So that's correct. Then you said press back to range lows 33K. What does that mean? What does that mean, like press back to range lows? Well, pressing is basically like pushing. Price is pushing in a fashion where there's not much time for the counter trend to really to put in any relief. Maybe a 15-minute reset, maybe a 5-minute or 15-minute, RSI reset, but we're not talking like longer reset. Just keep pressing, right? So what do we do? Boom, reject, press range lows. So kind of come back probably pretty violently. 3 candles, 3, 4, 5 candles pretty violently, and press the range lows, testing that area, right? Pressing range lows, briefly break, and then recapture to trap bulls. So what I'm proposing is this is just for fun, by the way. Like I said earlier, I'm not out here predicting. I can't predict my lunch tomorrow. I'm not going to predict Bitcoin in 2 weeks, okay? But if we reject it here and we come back and now we're pressing range lows, you always got to think of like what's max pain and how could you screw the market. I've traded long enough. I've seen it. So you kind of think, all right, range lows, what might we do? You might come in and then briefly dip and recapture to form the spring, which is what I've talked about so many times. You get everybody long, then you come up here and then boom, flush them. And then just catch everyone. So the real trap, like the initial trap is to trap the longs. I mean, just boom, right? Total sadism, or that's just the crypto market. It's gonna separate you from your money if you're not careful. Flush again and then break 30K with force. So we flush, boom, we break 30K with force. At that point, where's your next support? 24K. So boom, right down to 24K quickly in that scenario. So that's kind of the possible path for bears, right? So that's that, right? Bull path, bear path. Got to be ready for both, honestly. And really the simplest thing to do is just watch horizontal levels, and especially when you have a clean kind of level like 40K, and it's like a clean psychological level. Just be disciplined and say, look, I'll be bullish above 40K, and I'll be bearish below it. Let's check the chat room real quick. Everybody's underexposed. Big Chad's is crushing it. Big Chad's high five from Ireland. Hey, really appreciate that. High five to you. You can find me, of course. Just a reminder, I'm on Twitter at Big Chad. Check out my YouTube. Check out those tutorials. They're really going to help you get started trading. Check out the free version of out. It's been a pleasure. It's Saturday. It's the 29th of January. I wish you well out there. If you're struggling, there's several things I would suggest. And first of all, watch my YouTube stuff, because I really try to get a lot of those ideas fleshed out. But I try to simplify it too. Bet less. Like whatever your position size is, it's too big unless you're already making money. Like smaller positions are easier to manage. So you have to be a successful trader. It's in spite of yourself, like in spite of all your bad habits. So you have to like find ways to protect against yourself and like allow yourself room to mess up. So if you bet little amounts, you allow yourself room to mess up. You won't get as involved emotionally with the trade. It might be easier for you to stick to an actual plan of buying at a key level after a big drop when you're scared to buy there, or sticking to your guns and selling when that support level that has held, breaks. It's easier to manage those smaller positions. So I would do that. Um, that's really number one. Number two, you have to cut your watch list in half at a very minimum. You're watching too many things. You don't understand what you're watching. So you kind of end up bouncing around. You're bouncing around between all those charts, and you're kind of chasing the loss from one play and another play. And so you're kind of you don't even really have a plan. So cut it in half and learn the charts that you want to play. All right. And, thirdly, those need to be the strongest stuff out there. Only play continuation plays. Do not play any reversal plays. Anything that is below the MA 200, completely ignore it. Anything that is continually losing support levels, just get rid of it. And if you like it, wait till it starts to regain some of those lost levels. Just stay away from it. Continuation plays are the easiest way to do it. So that would be kind of what I would leave you with here at the end. I really appreciate each and every one of you for coming here. Let's get this party going here once again. and party.